Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Janome Studio and Janome Live. I'm Ann Hine, Embroidery Software Specialist for Janome America. Today, we're talking about edge-to-edge quilting designs. Some of us know what those are and some of us don't. So let me just explain what they are. Typically, a long armor would quilt your quilt with a design that's continuous from one side to the other, and then they would repeat that down your quilt to finish up your whole quilt. We can do nearly the same thing in our embroidery machines, and with our software, we can actually create our own designs. I think that's really exciting because I can make things specific to my quilt or my project. And you can find inspiration for your designs from your quilt itself. You could draw something and bring it in. You can bring in a backdrop of a picture or maybe a flower, something that you want to use as your inspiration and draw from there. Now, what I do, because I'm not very good at drawing, I drew it on paper first, and then I brought it in as a JPEG and as a backdrop, and I worked with it from there. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to go to the software. I'm going to show you how to do that part. We'll do all the drawing and the editing today. And then when we meet up the next time, I'm going to be at the machine and I'll show you how it stitches out on your quilt. So you'll be able to see that too. All right, so let's move to the software and do that part. So let me go here to software. There we are. All right, I just have to move my little inner screen out of the way. So I brought my design, I scanned in a picture. I drew it first, of course, and then I scanned it in and I brought it in and I saved it here as a JPEG. So I'm going to double click on it and open it. And when I open it, I have all these choices, but I just want to open it as a backdrop. And I don't need to do anything else with this. I'm just going to open it as a backdrop. There we go. And you can see with this backdrop, you can see through the paper. I actually used the backside of something else I printed on, but that's okay. And a couple things I want to do. First, I'm going to change my hoop. I'm going to put it in the longer hoop. So I'm going to double click over there, the RE28B. I'm going to rotate my hoop because I want to work with this going sideways. I'll turn off my hoop now like that. And to turn my design, because I can't click on it, it's a backdrop. And I'm going to go to View, Backdrop, and I'm going to go down here to Properties. And in Properties, you have these tools here to move your design. So I can rotate it right here. Let's see, get it rotated. There we are. And it's not quite straight. Let's make it straight as we can. There we go. And then I can resize it here if I want to make it bigger or smaller. I'm just going to make it just about that big. Even though it's outside the hoop here, that's okay. I'll go a little bit small. There we go. So I resized it here, and then I'm just going to close this window, and I'm all set. Now, to turn this into stitches, what I need to do is turn on my drawing tool and draw along here. But before I get started, the one thing I want to do is I want to make sure when I start this side, I start on the same line, the same spot as I do over here. So they will connect up at the end. To get an idea of that, you can add a guideline. And I'm going to bring my guideline up here. Well, let's see, let's make it not move around like a crazy thing. There we go. I'm going to put it straight across like that. So my design, when I start on the left side, I need to start it down here. And when I end, I'm going to end on the line right here. And you'll see why when we get done how that works. So here we go. I'm going to turn on my outline shape tool. If you want, you can use the freehand shape, whichever one you like to use. I'm better with the outline shape, and I'm going to just put my points in as I go around. I don't need to put a ton of points around these curves. It's going to curve around nicely anyways. And here I'm going to do shift and click so I get a cusp node because I want that to be pointy. And I'm going to leave these ones here that should be pointy, but I'm going to show you how you can adjust that when you're doing your editing. So I'm going to leave those like they are. So we'll come back to that. But as I go along, I'll be doing them with the points. And if I feel this needs to be a little rounded, I can do that. I don't have to stay on my line. No one is going to see this line. I'm just going to go around this way, come across here, come in this side. Here we go. Come to this point, shift and click to get that one. come up here, shift and click, go here and here, shift and click here and here, shift and click here and here, shift and click again. I'll probably want to do that here. Go back this way. And if I just drag my cursor up to the edge, it moves it for me. That's what's happening. I don't have to move it along if I'm outside the viewing area. I can just drag the cursor up there and it'll move for me. So here we go. We're almost to the end. And if you go the wrong way, hit backspace or delete, depending on which computer you're using. Let me delete again because I'm on the inside here. There we go. And I'm going to shift here so I get the point. I need a point there. I need a point here, here, and maybe here. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go around this one. And I'm going to come down here and I might go a little bit lower here with this one and come around like this. And then I know I have to end up here on this bar. So I'm going to bring that up just like that and end there. Left click, right click, and shape. All right, so I'm going to turn off my tool by clicking select. And then I'm going to go up here to view and turn off the backdrop. It's a little easier to see the design. So there's my design. It does start on this line and end on that line, so that's nice. We can see that. And here, these are where I didn't put the points. Here's where I did. So I can adjust that now. I can do any edits I want to this. Select my piece, select edit nodes. I could come in here and I can right click on these and say custom node. I'm going to make them all custom nodes and then I'll go back. This one needs to be a custom node. There we go. And this one needs to be a custom node. At least for me. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever it is you like. So I may pull those in a little bit to make these a little more round. Pull that in. There we go. So that looks pretty good. I kind of like that. Maybe this needs to be over that way. There we go. A little bit more. And then I'm just going to look at all my other parts. This here could be a little more round, maybe more like that. So you have all the options to do whatever you like to your design. And once it's where you like it, click off selection so that you turn it off. Then the next thing I like to do is check to see how this edge is going to match up with that edge. So I'm going to have my design selected. I'm going to copy and paste, and then I can slide it over here like this. And I could look at how this is going to come together. So this one is going to meet up right there. Let me see, when I might have to go over a little bit more, but when you're setting this on your machine, that's what you're going to be doing. But one of the things that's happening is, well, this is actually not too bad. This is coming up and joining and going like that. That's a very nice curve. If it wasn't doing that, I could go here and edit this to be anywhere, maybe I need to move this back a little and make it more like that. Maybe to make this a little round so it flows into that other one. So you still have that option when you get to this part. We're not joining them together here. They'll be joined in the when you're stitching. That'll be your stop and start. The other thing you can do is, I'm going to delete this one because I don't need it, is you can see what your design looks like repeated. And usually I bring it over here. I'm going to turn off my guide, click on the guide, and then delete, and it goes away. And I'm going to copy and paste my design. And I'll just drag this one this way, and I'm going to carefully line it up there. So when I do my quilt, it's going to look something like that. You can use your array tool to put them together so you can see they're a little up, but I would, if I was aligning this on my machine, I would make sure it's perfect. When I do another row, so let's do this. Let's copy this row. When I start my next row, I can put them just like this. But when I do that, you do have some big spaces there. So you would want to offset the first one. So you could move this back and sort of stick that up in there. So your first design, you might want to cut off. And so you'll have a full design and you'll have a half design. And so you'll start with the half, then you'll do a full all the way across your quilt. So you get this more up and down look with a lot less spaces in there. If you see spaces in there, the way to fix this space is this piece here, which is right there, would have to be moved this way when you edit your node. So let's just take a look at that. Let's edit nodes, this one here. Whoops, there we go. So if I wanted to move something up there, let's just say this, it's catching that other one too. I could do this kind of thing. Let's fix that. And let me let me ungroup this. There we go. So this would fit up in there more. So this would be the design I would go with. I would delete these out and I would fix this, but that's how you could get it to fill in there. Once you do a change like that, you have to make sure you pick the correct one to save, okay? But that's how you can fill in some of those gaps. So this would be the one I would, let me just do a few more tweaks with this one because I don't like how I made changes to it, but then I don't, there we go. Let's just do this. There we go. All right, and I'm going to delete these because these are the ones I don't want. This is the one I'm going to play with. So let's copy and paste that one. And I'll join it over here like that. And then let's put two of them, let's put them together, copy and paste, and I'll drag one down below the other and you'll see how they fit in there a lot better. Like puzzles. You have to look at your puzzle pieces. There we go. So that fits in there much nicer. So I would delete off all the ones I don't need. There we go. Take this one, center it in my hoop, and then I would go ahead and save this. And first I would save it as your draw file, and then I would save it as a JEF file or in the machine format for your machine. You can also do some really simple designs. I'm just going to use this this one here, and you can put your guideline in, hit selection, and then you can come in here and, if you just want to do loop-de-loos, or maybe maybe you can do some little kind of leafy, whoops, that wouldn't be right. I would want this to be a point. Maybe some kind of heart things. But you can be the designer of there as long as you're stopping and starting on the line so that these will connect up when you're putting them end to end. All right, let me put the camera back on and I'll just quickly review a little bit of what we did. So when you're working with your design, you can bring it in. I did a drawing and I brought it in as a JPEG. You can scan it in and it'll come right to the program. Or if you don't have a scanner, someone else can scan it and you email it to yourself, open it, save it, open it in the program. However you like to do that. You could bring in a picture of your fabric and use that. There's so many places that you can find pictures. I know a couple of, I think Miriam likes to use decorative ironwork, like she'll see decorative fences and she'll bring, she's out on the web looking, she'll bring that in as her background, as her inspiration. So that's a good way to look at it. You might see that in a plant. So take some pictures, think quilting. I've seen it in sidewalks and in rugs and hotels. I have lots of pictures of rugs in hotels that I like too. So there's lots of places to get inspiration. Once you get your designs together, make sure you save as a draw and then again as a JEF or your embroidery format. All right, so next time we meet, we will be at the machine and I'll be showing you how you take your design that you made and how you apply it to the fabric. All right, everyone. Oh, and don't forget, you can go into, I didn't show it in my design, but you can go into your properties and set the stitch length. So if you like your stitch to be 2.5 millimeter, you can do that, or 3.0. You have the option to do that. All right, and do a little sample first, stitch it out, see how you like it on a quilt square, a quilt sandwich. Make sure you do it on a sandwich so you can see how that's working. And we'll see you next week and we'll go over all that then. I'm Ann Hine. Thank you for joining me today in the Janome studio. Happy quilting.